From national security to global corruption, this is the Muckrakers on today's News Talk, TNT.
Well, hello and a very warm welcome to the Muckrakers. It's just gone 12 noon in London, 7 a.m. in Philadelphia and around the world. It's time for the Muckrakers. And welcome again. Here on the Muckrakers, we pledge to continue tackling the most pressing and controversial news issues of our time. Our mission is to provide more light and less heat in our unwavering quest to uncover the truth and to inform, educate and entertain, all with dignity and respect. And I always point out it's vital we don't just ask the questions, but question those answers. And speaking of which, today we're going to have a deep dive into the latest US presidential election news and the continued threat around the world to free speech. And who better to do that than the old muckraker himself? We've got wonderful Basil Valentine and also the regular on the show, and it's a highlight of the week each time, Errol Musk. Welcome back, Errol.
Thank you.
It's always I have to ask, because the exciting stuff at the moment, we've got this spacewalk underway. I've been following it here as well.
Yes.
On the thing. They literally, basically, as we speak, they've just gone out of the Dragon spacecraft, and it shows the full spacewalk is taking place. Mr. Isaacman can be seen as he begins carrying out the suit tests against the spectacular backdrop of the Earth. I don't know if you can see that, but you can follow that as well.
Yes.
It is quite incredible. Were you ever tempted yourself? Would you go and do it?
Oh, of course I'd go and do it. Of course. Yeah, of course.
It does sound amazing. It sounds wonderful. For those of you who don't know, Errol is a retired South African engineer, politician and businessman, and a lover of fine cars. We compare notes off air, don't we? Which is all rather good. He's the father of somebody called Elon Musk, the entrepreneur and businessman who founded X.com in 1999, I think it was. That later became PayPal. He did SpaceX in 2002 and Tesla Motors in 2003. Elon Musk became a multimillionaire in his late 20s when he sold his startup company Zip2 to a division of Compaq Computers. And he's got ownership stake in many different companies, including Xcore, The Boring Company, XAI, Neuralink, OpenAI, and Starlink. He's been described as the Edison of our time and the de facto US president. He's currently the richest person in the world with a net worth of $251 billion. And according to Bloomberg's Billionaires Index, a great thing to have, he's projected to become the first trillionaire by 2027. That's not bad, is it? It's good. No. It's got to be good. So, but help me out here, Errol, because people always around the world and all our viewers write in and say, what do you give to the man who's got everything? You must know. What was the last thing you gave to Elon?
Oh, that's a difficult one. No, I guess you buy a book, the latest interesting book, usually a tech sort of book. That comes to mind. We did do that, yes.
Yeah,
a tech book. Sometimes it is a good history book. Sometimes a good history book.
Yeah,
you know,
and then we can help rewrite the good history books, can't we? I think that's always important as well. Yeah. And what was the last thing he gave you, Errol?
I hope it wasn't the flu or something, Errol.
Okay, I have the flu at the moment. No, but he gave me a Bentley last week.
He gave you a Bentley last week? Oh, that's the picture that you sent me. Glorious one, which you drove down, I think, last time we spoke, which was interesting. Now, I wanted to focus today on US politics and the extraordinary scene that we had, the finally long debated discussion between Harris and Trump. Did you both have a chance to see some of it, if not all of it?
Yes, definitely.
And I know, Basil, you managed to see some sort of highlights, but couldn't stand sitting through the whole thing, which is interesting. But what I loved about it was this is the first time, and Harris, I have to say, was a little bit better than we were expecting her to be. Let's first of all have a look then, because there was a long time coming, this debate, and basically they engaged in their first presidential debate, focusing on topics such as the economy, trade policy, and abortion rights. What was interesting were the debate rules, and I don't know if you know much about this, but there were basically discussions about muting the microphones, whether they should be muted when it's not a candidate's turn to speak. And both basically Harris's and Trump's campaign, they had different conflicts. And you'd be surprised about this because basically Harris's team advocated for live mics during the exchange, while Trump's team pushed for muted mics. And Trump's normal debating tactic is to speak over everybody, but he didn't in this particular one. The debate lasted 90 minutes with 2 commercial breaks, and they were anchored by 2 ABC anchors, David Muir and Lindsay Davis. There was no audience in the room. The other rules was there going to be no opening statements, and there was a 2-minute closing statement. There was a restriction on props, no pre-written notes, and no candidate-to-candidate questioning. It all took place in the National Congress Constitutional Center in Philadelphia, a critical swing state. What was your general reaction, let's start with you, Errol, to that debate?
Well, it was obvious that I think Trump did a fine job, as fine as he could. It was clear that Kamala Harris had a lot of acting, or rather training to make the replies that she did.
Right.
They were very rehearsed, and I'm inclined to think she was even asked the questions by the same moderators beforehand. In other words, it wasn't the first time she saw those moderators. I'm pretty sure of that. It's very unfair, very, very crooked. The whole thing very crooked. The other thing that I noticed is that she's wearing the new audio earrings, which you can buy.
I saw that. I saw that on the internet. There was a little meme about they showed the shot. Yeah.
Yes, they have the antenna and everything. Yes. Yeah, I've seen them. I've seen them before. It's a hearing aid. They can talk to her. So she was how do you call it? Helped through the whole thing with a bit of prompting, I imagine. And on the other hand, I mean, on top of that, as a woman, she spoke all right. But let me put it like this: there are volumes written about men having an argument with a woman or trying to argue with a woman. And the bottom line is this: men have an innate desire to make sense with their argument, whereas women have no such desire. And that's the bottom line of all arguments between a man and a woman. It's simple. Men have a desire, a strong desire to make sense. Women have no such desire. But at any rate, I thought it was all right. I think clearly, from my point of view as a businessman, and knowing the background of this woman and everything, and knowing that it was all rehearsed and so on, obviously it didn't do anything to move me in terms of who I would rather see in government, and that is, I'd like to see this new Republic Party in power there, for certain. I mean, to get rid of all the people that are homeless and stop all this incredible mess that's going on all around the world, in America and also around the world.
Yeah,
we follow the United States, and we also know here that if Donald Trump gets in South Africa, it will lift us as well. You see, we know that it will lift us out of you could say almost depression or recession.
Yeah, no, it is very interesting. I'm very keen to have a look at that sort of stuff. And you raise a very interesting point about the earrings. And I say I've seen this reported online together with photos. There are pictures of, apparently you can receive the little earrings, little antenna and things like that.
Yes,
you can receive messages.
No, definitely. There's no doubt about it. There's absolutely no doubt about it. They are the earrings that you use for that purpose. It's not maybe, it's definitely, no question about it.
Very good.
It's amazing to me that these earrings, people know about them. They blatantly didn't worry about it. They just didn't worry about it.
It is extraordinary. Well, they should be looking into that. And I always say, look, here on the Muckrakers, our only mission is to find the truth. And I put it out to ABC. If that were the case, do come on and let us know. Let us know if you check those earrings. And to anybody on Kamala, that's how you pronounce her name, Kamala Harris's party, come forward and confess if that's the truth. Or tell us all about it. Show us those earrings. We'll have a look. Basil, let me just fill you in on this as well. Trump, basically, in order, part of the rules, you have a coin toss. And Trump won the coin toss. So, right, at least he won something for podium placement and the order of the closing statements. He chose to make the final closing statement, which I think was a good move, actually. And Harris selected the right side podium. Interesting stuff. What was your general take, Basil?
Well, people have been saying that Kamala was much better prepared than Donald Trump. Even, CAN diehards like Trey Gowdy saying that Trump needs to sack whoever he had on his team getting him ready, because he allowed her to put him on the defensive to some extent. And he went off on tangents about people eating pets and things, and should really have driven home the key messages on economy and immigration. And so generally the takeout is that, well, he didn't do as well as expected, that Kamala won the debate. But then you've got, as Errol mentioned, the possibility that not only did Kamala know the questions in advance and very much have the moderators on her side, but she may have been taking some form of live coaching during the event from whoever was on the end of that earpiece, saying, mention this, mention that, don't mention that, which obviously would be completely unfair, and one was assume is against the rules. So personally, I'd like to see another one. I don't know if it's going to happen. I shouldn't think Kamala wants another one. Trump has said it's got to be on his terms if there is to be another one. I think the American people deserve another one. I mean, we are talking about, the most powerful job in the world, so we're led to believe anyway. And one 90-minute debate between the two candidates ahead of such a momentous election definitely isn't enough. So for the sake of democracy, there has to be another one. And this time round, perhaps included in the rules would be checking whatever's in Kamala's ears, though I shouldn't think she'll agree to that. People say she got him on the defensive by going across and shaking his hand to start with. He wasn't expecting that. The choreography is all important. It was the first handshake in a presidential debate since 2016, apparently. But I thought that was a welcome sign anyway. I mean, for goodness sake, people should be able to shake hands at the very least, shouldn't they?
And it has been a presidential campaign all about ears, from the appalling assassination attempt and that sort of stuff to Kamala, and that's how you pronounce her name, with her earpiece. I think Donald should come on with it with little earrings as well next time. I think that would be good, so he can have his two people. We're going to take a quick break.
A big one, with antennas.
A big one, exactly. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to do a deeper dive into what they actually discussed. Don't touch that dial. Yeah, just before coming on to Taylor Swift, I wanted to talk about those fact-checking things and get your comments very briefly on this. The claim basically about crime in the US, Trump basically claimed crime was rising. The FBI data shows that violent crime decreased actually by 6% in 2023 and 15% in the first quarter of 2024, trending downwards since its spike in 2020 during the pandemic. As you know, I present this series called Andrew EBORN's Fake or Fact, where we look at claims in the media around the world and basically shine a spotlight, more light, less heat, and as they say, sunlight is the best disinfectant. So we try to look at these claims and get rid of those which are false. On abortion, we talked about abortions occurring in the 9th month or after birth. That's what Trump said. In reality, fewer than 1% of abortions are performed after 21 weeks of pregnancy, often due to medical emergencies or fetal anomalies. Infanticide is illegal in all 50 states, as we said. Reference was made to Project 2025, and Trump denied involvement in that, a 900-page right-wing overhaul plan for the federal government. Despite distancing himself, his policies align with some of the project's goals. That's just as an aside. Immigration, they talk about violent acts like eating pets. Well, we've spoken about that. And talking of pets, I think this is the most wonderful segue to Taylor Swift, who came out, you might remember, about the reference to, see what I did there, and a pet that she wouldn't want eaten, about the single cat woman. And she posted about this, coming out in support of Kamala Harris, to which the wonderful Elon said, well, look, I'll give you a child, and I'll look after your cat. Errol, do you fancy a new grandchild?
Oh, yes. Well, Taylor Swift is a very, very beautiful girl. I mean, let's be honest here, she's fair game because of the simple fact that she's out there, she's a singer, she makes herself seen in beautiful costumes. She's not some prude that you have to be worried about in that respect. So she's fair game, and I agree with Elon. I think any man would love to have her have his child, and so she's gorgeous. So let's be honest, and she's brilliant.
So you're looking forward to having her as a new daughter-in-law, or possibly the mother of your next grandchild.
Yeah, I mean, it's common sense. It's hardly rocket science that she's an attractive girl. I mean, she's very attractive, and by making the comment, I'm childless and I've only got a cat. And to who, on top of who she really is, she's inviting comments to be made. I mean, that's an invitation. When a person like her, I mean, she's right up there on the stage, on the top of the stage, to be able to say that, she's inviting men to say, "Oh, I'll jump in there, if you want, I'll provide. I mean, I'll look after your cats, for heaven's sakes." It's not complicated
it was
at all.
Interesting, Errol, and it was basically a reference to J.D. Vance's comments about a single women, single cat woman, and there've been all sorts of videos and so on and so forth. I mean, Taylor's very famous. I mean, she previously expressed views in opposition to politics of former U.S. President Donald Trump and U.S. Senator Marsha Blackburn, you might remember, of Tennessee, who are both Republicans. I watched this documentary. I would recommend it to everybody. Do your research. 2020 documentary called Miss Americana. And on her Instagram account, basically, there was a lot of false information, fake news, with her holding up a Trump poster claiming support and so on and so forth. What happened is she said that she wouldn't support this particular Marsha Blackburn. She called her Trump in a wig about her and disapproved of her policies on abortion and so on and so forth, which was interesting. Dixie Chicks, you might remember, they got into trouble when they got involved with politics, and it divided their fan base. What's your take on this, Basil?
Well, I think if Elon and Taylor got together, that really would be the ultimate celebrity power couple of the 21st century. They'd make Meghan and Harry, or even William and Kate, look like utterly irrelevant paupers. But I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's any more likely than me getting together with Taylor, to be honest. But we all like to think we might stand a chance, don't we? Somewhere.
Well, Basil, I can tell you.
Perhaps she watches this program.
She does. She's texting in and says, "Basil, I'm free Thursday night. What are you up to?" I'll tell you, you're washing your hair. It's got to be good. I do want to finish, gentlemen, on this rather shocking thing about the Australian government introduced the Communications Legislation Amendment Combating Misinformation, Disinformation Bill 2024. It's just coming through my feed as we speak. And basically, the Australian Communication and Media Authority, ACMA, have new powers to combat seriously harmful misinformation and disinformation. We're living in an era where the CEO and founder of Telegram was arrested in France. We've had Elon being booted out of Brazil. Freedom of speech is in a critical condition, and now we've got this legislation. What's your take on that, Errol?
Well, they try to boot him out of Brazil. They try to do these things. That doesn't mean they've succeeded, simply because people like even Starmer have tried these things. There's a long way to go. There's a long way to go. This book isn't finished. This is a lot of pages to turn. No, I think things happen for a reason. And sometimes these type of objections highlight the very fact of what is happening. In other words, you wouldn't even know what's happening if they didn't object to it. So there's a sort of advantage to it there, Australia, I speak to Australian people. They don't seem to have anything in connect. They don't seem to be in touch with their government at all. They seem to have a very Australian type of way of describing their government. And a lot of them, everyone I know, and I know quite a few of them. So it's a very strange sort of situation. The Australian government is trying to tie down the Australians, and the Australians are simply not having it. That's the impression I get.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And the worrying thing is the definition of harms. I'm looking at this hatred against the group in Australian society on the basis of ethnicity, nationality, race, gender, sexual orientation, age, religion, or physical or mental disability. And we had this in Scotland very recently. And basically the police, when they first heard about it, said, we will investigate every single claim. And J.K. Rowling, who I'm looking forward to having as a guest on this show, maybe with you, Errol, we can get the two of you together. It'd be fantastic to debate. Basically, she came out and said, well, look, arrest me first. You need to work on this sort of basis. We need to be able to call people out. We need to hold people's feet to the fire. It's very worrying times. We continue to speak about it. It's been an absolute delight as always. Basil, thank you very much for joining me yet again. Errol, always a pleasure. We'll compare notes on cars continuously before we get you back on next time. The rest of you, I will be back again tomorrow, same time, same place. Do whatever you can to support TNT and the wonderful mission. Our quest, our unwavering quest, is to keep and uncovering the truth. With your help, we can continue to do that. I've been Andrew Vaughan. You've been great. Thank you very much for joining us.
If you missed this hour, simply go to episodes at tntradio.live